All right, so let's get things started. I love P5X, and a lot of you guys know this. It's been the primary thing on my channel for about 2.5 years, I think now. And I've put hundreds of hours in this game, covered every major update you could think of, and genuinely would like this game to succeed. Heck, it's already succeeding in its own ways. We've heard this, that the companies have been more than happy with the performance of the game. I do think there's a couple decisions that are holding P5X back way more than anything else. And nah, it's not really power creep. Yes, we do understand they exist, but that's not the whole deal. It's not really the combat. It's not even the gacha rates for me. If anything, it's way worse. The game itself, it just handles banner schedules and player resources in a very badish way. Now, to some people, you could very well fight for it and be like, I'm being free to play. I got this many characters. I think the resources can be fine. That is very true about this game. It is nicer than other gachas, which I give them their props for. Though there are some other issues. If the developer fixed these issues that are going to be talked about in this video, I honestly believe P5X can become one of the best long-term gacha games on the market, and we have a bunch of ways to discuss this. So let's go ahead and get into it. So getting started, the two major issues that we're going to talk about at the very beginning are obviously the banner schedule and the player resources. But the third issue that I'm going to go into later in the video is more than likely going to be talking about some of the gameplay aspects and the replayability. So sit tight and hopefully you enjoy it. But getting to one of the real problems on the banner schedule and player resources, think about it. Every patch ends up happening, new character ends up releasing, then another and another, and every single one looks stronger. Every single one has a flashy trailer, and every single one feels like they're required. Now, I want you to sit back and ask yourself this one thing. When are you actually supposed to save? Now, this has been something that we've been going through for obviously multiple weeks, whether you're on global, TWKR, CN itself, all of these have gave you this feeling of when can I really save? Now, some people, they're in a space where they feel like they can do this, but there are others who absolutely feel like they have no other choice. And what I mean by this is if every few weeks there is another must-have support, another top-tier DPS, another game-changing teammate, players typically don't get any breathing room. Instead of feeling excited for new banners, many players start to feel stressed, and that's not really healthy for a live service game. Think about it. There's been people in the community, I don't even have to say as myself because, you know, guys, I get usually every character at that point. So this doesn't truly apply to me, but there are some people that have been in the community that have made it ultra known. They're feeling stressed on their pulls. They don't know when they can skip. Usually a character that they truly do want to get gets immediately impeded on by a different character that's just so above that ceiling factor that makes it a must-have unit. And why does this really matter? This is one of the few feelings that most good gacha games, as well as best gacha games, understand that it leads to something very important. Players need time to recover. They need time to save, time to skip banners without feeling punished. When players can plan ahead, they can actually enjoy their pulling more. And this is one of the things that Global was able to do. They're able to plan ahead and actually enjoy some of their pulling. But even on global now, it has gotten to a point where people feel stressed, where they feel like a patch is mandatory. This is more prevalent on the TWKR and CN sides, but are slowly melding into the global sides due to a lot of the universal releases, such as obviously the twins, and then of course with Miku. This absolutely changes a lot of people's pulling plans, and you stop asking yourself, what do I want? And you start asking yourself, what can I afford to miss? This is a huge difference depending on how you view it. And although some people could just easily just write it off as have some self-control, there are some people that genuinely just feel like they're caged to a point where they have no choice but to go ahead and pull a character. Now, this is what I would like to call the FOMO loop. P5X has incredible team building, supports do matter, synergies matter, different characters unlock so many different strategies, and that is the beauty of this game. You're never really fully caged in, though there is a downside. If you sometimes will miss one important support, your favorite DPS in the future, or even that you currently have, might never reach their full potential. They may never be good. And that is what gets this endless amount of fear that a lot of people end up feeling. It's the fear of missing out, and players stop summoning because they're excited. They start to summon because they are afraid, which can lead to a more gem drought, more resource drought, and with some ways of not getting the most of gems at times, that can be a little bit of a problem. That's not the type of motivation that you want to keep into a community long term, and that's something that needs to slowly be fixed. We can even use some examples from the TW side of things. It went from Anniversary to Aegis came out, which was a very popular character in demand, immediately into P5D, showing off Joker Starlight, who not only was just a really popular character, but was so broken that he covers technically 2 fields alone. Arguably 3 fields if you count the amount of AoE damage he can end up dealing. Then afterwards we have Mona, which could technically be seen as a skip banner, but is very good for anyone who wants to prep for win related characters, and in the future most likely a win sweeper character. Then it went into Miku, and immediately into the single target juggernaut being Panther Starlight. Imagine having to go back to back on all of those characters, and you just never feel like you have a chance to really save. That's the motivation that you don't really want to have. Though the developers can change this, and what I would think is here, what they can do is not going to be based on complaining. There's real solutions to this. In fact, slowing banner schedules, this would apply to my global side of things. Global is still in the 2-week banner schedule, and things are coming very quickly. Unlike the TW side where we have an extra week, and that helps us save a little bit better and more efficiently, it still gives us a little bit of scariness because of course we're getting a very overpowered characters. But on global, it's so quick, so fast that characters, whenever they're thrown for a loop with a new universal character or a new just collaboration character, they don't know what to do. By having this banner schedule slowed, it gives people enough time to actually build characters they just pulled, and obviously make their units a lot better and have some time to relax. This is something that needs to happen, and during the said banner schedule, instead of not giving more events, or at least instead of giving less events, you could have more chances to give more events to allow players to increase their free pool income. This is obviously going to let them be able to get more pulls for different major banners that are happening, and just not enough to break the economy, but enough to at least feel good about what you're doing. This is pretty much allowing you to have just enough that skipping a banner doesn't feel like you're forever behind. Whenever they do rerun banners, you feel like you can actually go ahead and summon on the rerun. New players won't have to wait months and months for essential supports. In fact, they would be able to just immediately go on the rerun banner and get the character. And then fourthly, continue improving communication. One of the main things that has been absolutely detesting a lot of people in P5X is the communication. We do have some small roadmaps that are pretty decent, though these roadmaps lately have been kind of impeding a little bit, whether they shorten time frames of different valuable characters, or even just forget about other versions such as like the SEA side of things for P5X. Players are going to be able to plan their resources even better, even instead of feeling blindsided whenever they are talking or at least figuring out what character they want to go next. Slowing down the time and actually expanding out some of the events will help a lot more people than the company may even think. Now, this helps out everybody. And the only interesting way of saying this is because these changes aren't really just hurting the pay to win players. Pay to win players are already going to buy what they want to buy. And it just doesn't even hurt free to play players either. They help both sides. If players can obviously trust the game, they're more likely to spend. If players feel respected, they're more likely to stay. Long-term trust is worth way more than short-term revenue, and that is something that I truly do believe. P5X itself has amazing potential, and I don't want to sound too negative here because I really do love P5X. They do a ton of things right, whether it's art, combat, music, boss fights, even sometimes just the friending system at times, but they do need to work on that a little bit. the new Phantom Thieves, and all of that is very strong inside of this game. But this is exactly why the issue does matter. By going ahead and acknowledging this and slowly trying to make it better, the core that the game actually has and the progression system will feel a lot more rewarding. But that's mainly on the aspect of the banner side and resources. As I said before, there's another part to this, and that is going to be the gameplay loop. Gameplay loop inside of P5X is one of the few things that a lot of players do complain about, seeing that the events no longer feel as creative as they used to. The events themselves feel more likely just something that was thrown together and nothing really to do. Alongside with the game modes that are in the game, such as SOS, Guild Boss, and Mirror, those are the only three that we're really doing, besides I guess you can use Astrolab. All of those only last for at least one run that you're going to be doing them, except for Astrolab itself. Once you complete them though, there's nothing else to really do. You kind of just go on with a different game. Now some people are going to say it's a gacha game, so you're not obviously meant to be on the game all day, but some other people could understand what I mean by this. Instead of there being at least other things we're able to do, you kind of are locked into just those one things, and then you're done with the game for at least the whole patch. What we want to have is something that is more repetitive, something that is a little bit fun. In the future, we may end up getting it, such as like dungeon crawlers that we're able to do that could most likely reset on a weekly basis. Something like this would be great, but even when Heartrail was here, Heartrail was more of a finite mode and didn't reset with the weekly. What P5X is missing is a weekly game mode that resets for every last person, giving them something fresh to do as well as a new challenge. Granted, this is a lot harder to do and it's easier said than done, so I can understand why the developers don't do anything like this. But we're gonna go ahead and close out the video right here. That's what I think is the biggest mistakes that the developers are needing to fix, and it's not because the game is bad. In fact, the game has been doing even better than normal, at least in my aspects, though there have been some moments questionable on their paying process. I think that's for a different video though, so I'm not gonna get into that. But I want the game to be even better for what it is. But now that I've went over my side of things, I want to hear from you. If you could change one thing about P5X tomorrow, what would it be? Leave your thoughts inside the comment section, and if you enjoyed this discussion, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and that's mainly just because I'm going to be covering all future updates, seeing news, global changes, and everything that happens inside of P5X. Till then, everybody, stay safe, stay sharp. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.